Hello, my name is Paul Dowling, and this is my digital artifact for the final project of the World Bank MOOC. I've chosen scenario 4, where I'm an international development practitioner. I work for a local NGO, Youth Challenge Guyana, a youth-focused NGO in Guyana, South America. To put my project into context, Guyana is the second poorest country in South America. However, the oil company ExxonMobil has just discovered 5.5 billion barrels worth of oil deposits off the country's Atlantic coastline. This is a story from the BBC News website highlighting how this oil discovery has the potential to change the country's economic future. Now, extractive industries are used to investing in EMDEs because oil, gas, and gold deposits are not always located in those countries that might have stable economies and governance systems. They will go to where the resource is located. In recent years, however, there's been a much stronger emphasis on EMDEs avoiding the resource curse and ensuring that the revenues they earn from the extractive industries are properly accounted for and utilised. And we see more and more EMDEs participating in things like the Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative, EITI. So what is my project? The goal of my project would be to get finance from the private sector to provide education and career guidance services for young people in Guyana to prepare them for a career in the extractive industries and in their ancillary industries. The aim of my project would be to target the following SDGs. SDG 4 on inclusive and equitable education and lifelong learning opportunities, SDG 5 on gender equality, and SDG 8 on sustainable economic growth and decent employment for all. Now, according to the data sources we use for our WE2 project, Guyana has made progress in achieving universal primary education, but there are still important access issues at secondary level. Higher education provision in Guyana is extremely limited, and emigration remains very high amongst the country's educated professionals. Now, if Guyana is going to exploit the natural resources off its coastline with all the environmental risks that involves, it must at least do so in a sustainable way which promotes economic and human development. Now, what might be the possible sources of finance for my project? Well, there's the existing budget of my NGO, Youth Challenge Guyana. We have the existing budgets of the local ministries of education and labour. And there's also the existing physical assets, such as buildings, that might be available in secondary, higher, and vocational education institutions. There may be scope to get finance from the country's overseas development aid receipts, 12% of which are already spent on education. The biggest donor is the European Union, and the next biggest donors are the Inter-American Development Bank, Caribbean Development Bank, and the World Bank Group. Now, these regional development banks and the World Bank, they may have advisory facilities and South-South partnership instruments that might enable my organization to connect with organizations in other countries in similar circumstances, and for me and my organization to learn from best practice and the mistakes that others may have made. However, the primary source of finance for this project would be the extractive industry companies and the sector itself. In particular, I would hope to target the regional development banks and the World Bank Group to use their convening power to bring these private sector stakeholders to the table. An organization like the International Finance Group would be able to highlight to companies like ExxonMobil the opportunities that might be there to mitigate the ESG risks of their activities. And I hope that this is where my project proposal would fit in. My project would support gender inclusion by identifying career pathways in the extractive industries for both men and women. I would also seek to involve local banks in the project, not necessarily to provide finance to support the career guidance and education services, but to contribute to financial inclusion by opening bank accounts with all course participants to better prepare them for employment and for being economically active citizens. I hope you found this proposal interesting. Thank you very much. All the best.